Radio 1's Chris Moyles is Patrick Kilty's guest tonight at 10:35 here on BBC One.
The ball went over his head.
Oh dear.
Probably to see her.
And look at that! Have you ever seen anything like that? Oh!
And here comes Hurt. He's got some people are on the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now.
Hello, welcome back. And before we get started on this summer of sport, we'd like to send our congratulations to David and Victoria Beckham and our commiserations to Romeo Beckham. With David and Jonathan this week is the American goalkeeper who performed so brilliantly in the World Cup. In fact, he used to be a basketball player. His knack of dropping the ball into the net was one of the reasons that Liverpool got rid of him. Brad Friedel. With Gary and Rory this week is an impressionist who famously pretended to be William Hague and got through on the phone to Tony Blair. At least he thought it was Tony Blair. It turned out to be Rory Bremner. Jon Culshaw. We kick off the new series with our celebrations round, looking at the stories behind a pair of sporting celebrations. David, Jonathan and Brad. We take you back to the World Cup and the game between the new titans of world football, South Korea and the US.
From Lee Yul-young. This looks promising. Very promising. An Young-hwan, the Perugia striker, makes it 1-1.
Did you notice, though, that when that clip came on, Brad looked that way? Which seemed to be exactly what he was doing in the clip as well.
You play football, don't you?
I do.
Is it fun? You see, you're asking for trouble, Nick, giving us a South Korea question, because, you know, when you talk about Korea on this show, inevitably we start talking about, shall we refer to it as canine cuisine? They love the taste of dog over there, it's got to be said.
They do.
Crufts in South Korea, it's presented by Jamie Oliver.
How was the whole experience down there? Were you surrounded by security and stuff being...
Yeah, when we first got there, it was a
Not
bit
during
missus-
that cross, you weren't.
They left us, and we were playing Korea. They're all gone away then. We were swamped by US CIA SWAT teams from Korea. Took us to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone there, and we were about 10 feet away from the North Koreans who wanted to shoot us.
So, let me get this straight. The CIA were guarding you and chose to take you to the demilitarised zone where you could be shot at by the North Koreans.
Technically, yeah, I guess.
I loved the World Cup, and I enjoyed watching the Brazilians in particular, with that fantastic, with the three W's at the front there, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. It was very exciting viewing.
Jonathan, it's nice to see you again, actually. And can I just say, the suit... Can you stand up?
Sure.
Look at that. Never has the expression long streak of piss been so appropriate.
Yeah, I'm Jonathan Wossy, only movie reviewer who went to see Austin Powers for the fashion tips.
You're only here because we couldn't get Alistair McGowan, you know that.
You're only here because we couldn't get Alistair McGowan.
But that was a terrible goal. You would have to be an idiot to let a goal in that.
But I do know the answer.
Of course you know the answer, because you're the idiot that let the goal in.
The celebration depicted when in the Olympics, I think in Utah, a US judge deemed a South Korean speed skater to have fouled an American speed skater, gave the gold medal to the American.
Is the correct answer for 3 points.
Well done, Brad.
It was a reference to a previous encounter between South Korea and the US in the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City in February, when Korea's speed skating god Kim Dong-sung was controversially disqualified, allowing America's Apollo Ono to win gold.
And Ono's in pursuit of a gold medal. Trying to get through, he was blocked there by Kim. Oh, he had to give ground to Kim. Ono's in silver medal place, China are bronze, and we'll have to wait and see if there's a disqualification. Oh, Ono's got it! The judges have given it to Ono!
After the game, millions of Koreans poured into the streets of Seoul. It was the biggest crowd since a dog lorry crashed into the barbecue sauce factory.
is racist.
It is,
and wrong.
but quite funny. Kim Dong-sung is known as the David Beckham of South Korea. He even has a celebrity wife, badly sung. Gary, Rory and John, it's cricket for you and England captain Nasser Hussain's century in the final of this summer's NatWest Challenge against India.
And there's his first one-day international 100.
So why the gesture, Gary's team?
Is he pointing at the back, reminding Gower of his best test score?
It's definitely something to do with the number 3, isn't it?
Yeah. Number of people watching David on Sky.
He's swearing, wasn't he? He was saying the F word.
It looked like he was.
Did you ever do that when you were England captain, Gary?
No, I didn't.
I'm sure there's one occasion when you said, "What the f*** is that?" And somebody said, "It's the halfway line, Gary."
Well, it might have been that one.
Perhaps he was just a confused Star Trek fan. He might have been meaning to do the Vulcan salute or something, but ended up doing that.
Captain's log. That's what you used to get when you faced West Indian fast bowlers, isn't it?
But America will not tolerate the evil actions of this tyrant, Nasser Hussain.
Who was that?
It's a typical American voter for you.
NASA was doing the W signal. That's the signal W. That's the internationally recognised signal for when people need me to come to their aid. It's like the bat signal, Wossy. It brings up the weather. There's a child in need of laughter. For more reasons than one, Gower. Apparently the bend doesn't interfere with the pleasure, though.
I can't imagine you as a superhero.
I'd make a great superhero.
When you were young, you must have been bitten by a radioactive twat.
From my own captain. From my own captain. Brad, do you...
Oh, no. Hey, go for him.
You've done a Chris bad, haven't you? With Lennox. Did you Lennox Lewis, John?
Oh yeah, I knocked out Mike Tyson and I won the WBC title, but the pinnacle, that was, doing the Chris bad work with you, man. Yeah, when I was pushing his head down. Not in that way, but in that way.
But they didn't show the... They didn't show the bit where I knocked him out.
Yeah, in my fight, they didn't show me the bit where I knocked Lennox out either.
Yeah. Come on, what's the answer, boys?
He's batting order. He's 3rd in the batting order, and it was suggested in some quarters, Sky Television and the David Gower, that he's not good enough to bat number 3.
Yes, he's correct for 3 points. Hussain explained, "I'm sure that most people don't give a monkey's where I bat, but there's been one gentleman who's been permanently on my case, putting me under pressure. Nasser didn't name names, but he did say that if he ever catches up with him, he'll tip the silver-haired old grandad out of his bath chair." In recent years, David here has become known as the face of Sky Cricket and the hair of Hetty Wainthropp investigates. And at the end of that round, David's team have 3 points and Gary's team have 3 points. It's our excuses round now. David's team, we return once more to that traditional summer sport, football. Here's Emil Heskey doing what he does best, falling flat on his arse.
Heskey's in the middle here. Here's Heskey. Heskey falls over. No challenge needed.
Now, clearly, Heskey's poor performances out in the Far East weren't his fault. So who or what was to blame David's team?
So I take it he got a lot of abuse over here. I didn't think he played poorly.
I didn't think he played all that badly either.
Are you trying to stand up for him?
Yes.
Because he obviously couldn't stand up for himself.
Hey, Brad, you play football, don't you? What team is it? Blackburn Rovers. With Dwight York.
Yes.
Could you get us some of his videos? Have you seen Dwight's videos? Have you indeed perhaps been in Dwight's videos?
No.
You've adopted a defensive pose now, if you don't mind me saying so.
All rumours when he played at Villa. Doesn't do that now, he's Rovers.
But he must still have them in his collection, doesn't he? You don't throw them out there like old friends or children, you keep them.
I can't imagine that Dwight's taped Midsummer Murders over them, can you? Come on, Emil Heskey.
He complained some of the effect about his shorts being too baggy or too large, I believe.
Yeah, I'll give you 3 points. I'll give you 3.
Well done.
Heskey said he was below par because his shorts were too baggy. This meant apparently that it was all too easy for defenders to grab hold of them. Although he looks slow, Emil Heskey is actually the quickest player in the squad over his favourite distance, 6 feet vertically downwards. Early on in the first game, Heskey went to ground and loudly shouted in vain for a penalty. Although, to be fair on the ref, the replay did show that the national anthems hadn't yet finished. Gary's team, we stay with the England team for you. Here they are thumping Argentina 1-0 in the World Cup group game.
Hold the cups and the glasses back home. You can smash them now. Beckham has scored for England. 44 minutes and he's done it again.
Now, according to the Argentinians themselves, there was one reason and one reason only why England won. So what was their excuse, Gary's team?
Can we just pause and, as that was David Beckham, and, you know, we've often slagged him off on this show, but it's nice that he's named his new child Romeo, which is a touch of class, isn't it? You know. What? It's a character from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and I think it's very good. And I think this would be nice if this bit of culture permeated football. It might even get to the terraces. And they'd shout things like, "Does she take it up the Coriolanus?" Which apparently is Titus Andronicus. We thrashed him in the World Cup. You thrashed him in the World Cup, didn't you, Gary?
We did all right in the World Cup.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
You sent Des Lyon packing.
Well, I'm not one to blow my own trumpet, but as Mark Lawrenson's not here...
Yeah.
It's all true. Nothing to do with Owen diving, that's too obvious.
Nope.
I think we should throw it open to the nice ladies and gentlemen. Anyone here know?
Listen, you'll be in panto soon enough, mate. Just get on with
it. Indoors, no good indoors, because that was indoor.
Yes, but the roof wasn't on, was it?
Yes, it was.
That's why. The roof
I was there.
It was on.
You were there?
Well, I didn't see the roof. Mind you, I'd had a few. Let's be honest. I think it was warm.
It's always... It's not a roof that comes off. It's a pitch that slides in.
That's right, yeah.
It's on the
I went to a lot of places. Come on, answer the question.
I don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Was he? The Argentinians claimed that the reason they lost was they were wearing the wrong shirts. In their previous 2 World Cup wins against England in '86 and '98, they wore their dark blue second strip, whereas this year, and the last time England beat them in 1966, they wore their traditional blue and white stripes. After that match, Trevor Sinclair mistakenly got on the Argentina coach, and by a curious coincidence after that match, Ulrika Johnson mistakenly got on the England coach. Gary's presentation of the match was given a rave review by sultry journalist Barbara Ellen of The Observer under the heading, "Why the Lineker Effect Means Women Score Every Time." She wrote, "Lineker and Hansen produce perfect television, simply by rambling away like affable old granddads." According to Diego Maradona, the reason why Argentina lost is because Diego Maradona wasn't present. He'd been refused entry into Japan because of his criminal record. Actually, Gary had a criminal record in Japan as well. 2 years, no goals and 13 billion yen. Finally, he's admitting it.
It's great work.
Money bags now, look at that.
So at the end of that round, Gary's team have 3 points and David's team have 6.
Yes, well, and thanks to you. It's all for you,
We move on to Sporting Bluff now. David's team, it's that perennial losing semi-finalist for you, Paper Tiger Tim.
Game, 7 minutes, Hewitt. 3 sets alone. 7-5, 6-1, 7-5.
Now, Henman puts his annual march to the Wimbledon semis down to a superstition. What is it that Tim does for good luck?
Tim Henman always has his hair cut just before Wimbledon.
Tim Henman always eats at the same restaurant just before Wimbledon.
Tim Henman always asks for the same driver to drive him to Wimbledon.
What a big baby Tim Henman is, eh? I'll tell you why we don't win, because he's like some sort of like little mummy's boy running around out there. What you want is a good working class fella with fire in his belly. Not one of these posh twats who run around and Mumsy brings them teas and 11s and the butler brings him fresh balls out on a silver platter. And when he tries to get excited about it... I tell you, I've got more sporting blood in me than Henry. He runs around like a little Nancy boy. How can you let the bloke beat you with an ace on the final point of the game? It's disgusting, isn't it? It's shocking. It's disgraceful. I'm leaving. I'm really upset.
We don't rake these posh round, are we?
Of course you wouldn't, would you?
No. It's new money.
New money?
The Henmans.
It was after the dissolution of the monasteries.
But I should just point out, Brad, the question there about the haircut, I suspect, hasn't been aimed at you to make you feel uncomfortable. We wish to welcome you to our country. Well, how old were you when your hair started going, when you started losing it?
About 23.
Man, that's a young... And had your father lost his hair, or...?
No.
Wow, so just you in the family. That must make you feel very positive. And how long before you decided to shave it all off?
Pretty much a year after. Just,
really?
Yeah.
I admire that, because don't you feel sorry when you see people clinging to the last few hairs? I know someone, no names mentioned, names every one of them. They've got a name. When one of them falls out, he buries it at the back of the garden in a matchbox.
When did you get a yak stapled to your head?
See? When he wakes up, he's fine. While we're speaking tennis, can we just stop for a second and consider Serena Williams' tight, all-in-one, leather look? Have you ever seen a derriere as firm and proud as that? You put a potato up there, you get chips out the other end. You could lose a finger, couldn't you?
That's enough now!
Nasser Hussain, with his brittle bones, he wouldn't last 3 seconds. He'd be like one of Bernard Matthews' boneless turkeys by the time she finished with him. Be a little bag of skins. Tennis players and haircuts, because you know when Sampras goes in for a haircut, he always asks for a little bit off his back. He is a knuckle-dragging chimp, though, isn't he? I mean that respectfully. Yeah. I admire the man, but he is like a bloody orangutan, isn't he?
I'd go with restaurant because of, I think most athletes, before they have matches, they like having their normal food, yeah.
So you think Gary was telling the truth? Let's see if you're right.
Yes!
The restaurant in question is Nobu, a Japanese place in Park Lane. Tim likes to relax there in silence for a couple of hours, the peace and quiet broken only by 9 seconds of furious banging as Boris Becker knocks up a Russian model in the linen cupboard. Tim's other superstition is that he always showers in the same cubicle before and after every match. Before the semi-finals, he leaves it running. Tim's wife, Lucy, is about to give birth. The proud parents have already converted the spare room, or the trophy room, as it used to be called. Gary's team, it's that literary giant, Roy Keane for you. Here he is, making his excuses and leaving the Ireland team just before the World Cup.
And I'm happy to be going home. Happy to go and see my family.
Any regrets at all?
No regrets.
But it's not Roy Keane's book we're interested in, but rather the book he's reading. He recently became the first footballer in history to be photographed in a bookshop. But what was he buying?
Roy Keane was photographed buying an anger management manual.
Roy Keane was photographed buying a cookery book.
Roy Keane was photographed buying an interior decoration manual.
Could have been the anger management book, and he couldn't fit the book in his bag, so he broke its spine.
It'd be fun to go to Waterstones and hide all the anger management books.
Spurs on top of the league!
So they are. Have you read the book?
I've ghost read it. Let's choose one. Jonathan, go for Jonathan's interior decorating.
OK, so you think Jonathan was telling the truth. Let's see if you're right. No! In fact, Brad had it right, and here is Roy himself buying the book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff by Richard Carlson. Amongst its nuggets of advice is resist the urge to criticise, stop blaming others, and practice humility. And if that fails, elbow them in the head. Actually, Roy doesn't intend to read the book. He's going to light it and push it through Mick McCarthy's letterbox. After he returned from the World Cup, Roy Keane confronted reporters outside the gates of his home holding a big dog on a lead. He's pretty fierce. If he wants to sniff your balls, you'd better let him, said the dog. Keane's book attacks Mick McCarthy for finding time to appear on this show, so obviously Roy finds time to watch it. Well, we're not scared of you, you big, rugged, supremely talented midfield colossus, sir. Although Gary says you're just a soft Mick Git. And at the end of that round, Gary's team have 3 points and David's team have 9. This could be a first. Brad, you're doing it for me.
This is our series.
Time to get physical now as we play Field the Sportsman. Gary and Rory, take your positions. You have the traditional 90 seconds to work out who's come between you. Blindfolds on, please. Can we have our first mystery guest, please? OK, and your time starts now.
There's nobody here. Is that you, Rory?
Now somebody tripped me out, it's Roy Keane.
What is it?
I'll just check that it's not Serena Williams first.
Oh, hang on.
It's somebody shaggy.
It's Brad Friedel. It's Brad, get back.
It's not my old mate Angus Deaton, is it? Hang on. Make sure you get the money first, dear.
Is it Emil Heskey?
When did you last see your contact lens, son? Hey, how are you doing at press-ups? Okay, let's do a press-up. I'll race you. First to 10, all right? Go! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Is it the press-up, man?
Is it the world press-up champion?
It is Paddy Doyle, the world press-up champion. Jonathan, David.
Did you see a little bit of, you know, mask coming off early there, by any chance, Nick?
Well, I don't think it was going to help them.
Hey, I can hear a bell behind there.
Can you? Could be that cow I ordered.
We've got the world leprosy champion coming up.
I'll take him a few fingers for the kids.
It's all right. Can we have our second mystery guest, please?
There's definitely a bell.
OK, and your time starts now.
David?
Hang on, what? Is it Serena? Oh. It's Serena! Look, you're meant to be felt. I don't know who you are, that's what you're here for.
Just be careful.
And enjoy it.
Very nervous, this one. Not quite sure what it's
I'm
up
just
to.
sort of a new show, David.
What's
I'm
that?
a celebrity. Let me in!
How many...
Oh, this one's covered up, this one's...
Well, it's medal winning. Is it Commonwealth Games?
And it's our...
Is it a casting call for Dwight York's next video?
Fabulous award-winning, medal-winning swimming team.
Yes, it's our 7 Commonwealth gold medalists. So at the end of that round, Gary's team have 6 points and David's team have 12.
Well done.
We draw matters to a close by playing the name game. The team in the league goes first, which is David's team.
What?
As many names as you can. The next 90 seconds starting now.
Right, first name. Dennis the Menace had a dog. The dog's name was...
Nasher.
This is a bloke who doesn't like you. He plays cricket.
We're going very well. Hussein, that's Hussein.
Nasher Hussein, well done. All right, here you go. She's if you saw Sport Relief, she was on it. And Sven, I believe, enjoys a bit of Sport Relief occasionally with her. Oh, lovely. He's one of your country folk. First name, there was a comic character, a little boy had lots of money. His name was Richie...
Rich.
Okay, and second name is always like if you had a laser and you were shining it into his eyes, it would be a laser
beam.
Beam, which beam? Okay. Oh dear. Okay, second name. I think this is a footballer. Second name is what you would call Lineker. Similar to a pansy and a Nancy boy. A bit kind of don't want to get dirty. Bit of a
fairy.
No, not a fairy. All right, remember from the Staines Massive. Who leads the Staines Massive? Someone G.
Ali.
Ali, okay, Ali, and the second bit is when you're servicing your old lady.
Yeah. She's here.
When you're servicing your old lady.
She's here.
She can make...
When you're servicing his old lady. The noise she makes is... Dick Henry used to go, you are awful. Something you are awful.
Ooh.
Ooh, Ali-oo.
It's worse, she does more than ooh.
Ali-oo. Yeah, it's a ooh, get off. Ali-oo. Ali-oo sissy. There you go, well done. Okay, oh.
So you moved on to 16, not a great advance really. So 11, we'll win it for you, Rory. Your time starts now.
We're going to lose. Yorkshireman, Roy Keane, doesn't like him very much. Good impression though.
Mick McCarthy.
Very good. England's favourite tennis player?
Tim Henman.
Now this is a US golfer. First name the same as Flintstone.
Fred.
And
Fred Funk.
Hang on, I want to say if you would change one letter. This is a newborn baby who's named after a Shakespearean character and has two fictional parents. First name, the Chicago gangster Capone, his first name Al. What's that?
Finger.
Al Finger, yeah, and it's very good. Jesus, Mary, and
Joseph.
Very good. And what's a lout? A sort of thug.
Yob.
More than a yob. More than a yob.
Yobs.
More, sort of not a yob, but a Welsh yob.
Boyo.
Boyo, yeah, it's an Yobba! Oh, this is good. This is a Sierra Leone sprinter.
Is it?
Don't shout that out.
So Gary's team have 12 points, but this week's winner is David's team with 16.
Oh, thank you.
So our thanks to David, Jonathan and Brad, Gary, Rory and John. We're all off to buy lots of copies of Roy Keane's wonderful book, apart from Gary, who says it's shite. My name's Nick Hancock. They think it's all over. It is now.
Over on BBC Two in just a moment, Andrew Marr and Sarah Cox join the teams in Have I Got Old News for You? Here on BBC One, Patrick Kilty's almost live after the news.